I want to give a update on the squash, and I also wanted to show you how to trellis and prune your squash for more production. I've gotten so much production out of these squash. I mean, it's unbelievable. I just picked another bag of squash. Probably by tomorrow, I'll be able to pick another small bag because they grow like overnight. But what I want to do is teach you how to get even more production out of them. I've gotten plenty out of these, but you can get even more out of them. What you want to do is, I'm going to show you how to trellis your squash to get them up off the ground and to prune these leaves off that are no longer providing any support to the plant. And what it does is it cuts down on the amount of funguses that you can have. As you can see down there, that is a fungus. And that is due to all the moisture that's being trapped under the plant. So basically the plant needs to breathe a little more. So that's what we're gonna accomplish. We're gonna trim some of these leaves off, and we're gonna get a stake and trellis them up almost similar to how you would do a tomato. You just wanna be able to get that plant off the ground so it can continue to grow up. The longer you can, the more that stem, because as a squash plant, it'll grow at the base. And as it advances, it grows more leaves, and that stem gets longer, and it'll start laying on the ground. And you really don't want that. You don't want too much of that plant to sit on the ground like that, because like I said, it causes moisture and fungus problems, and it can lead to the demise of the plant. It also puts a lot of stress on the base of the plant, and it can cause it to split, and then once it splits, it'll start rotting, and then it'll just die, because it'll come loose right there at the end. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. Okay, what you wanna do is all of these leaves at the bottom that are damaged, you wanna just cut those off, prune them all off. This one right here, they're actually not too bad right now. They're gonna probably get bad, but most of the leaves are still fairly healthy. Okay, this is basically how they look when you trellis them up. You get them off the ground. I basically came in here and put me a stake. You don't want to put them too firm in the ground. Just maybe about 6-7 inches down in the ground. The reason you don't want to put it too sturdy is if you have a windstorm or something come through, you want the squash plant and the stake to just all blow over, so you can just reset it up and prop it back up. If you put it too firm into the ground, then the stake won't move, and then the squash plant will blow and split and damage the squash plant. So, but hopefully, we won't have any major wind storms come over, and then once the plant grows out more, it'll be a little more sturdy. So I know this looks weird to have them like that, but what'll happen is that as they grow, they'll start standing up and growing toward the sun, and they'll start propping back up, and they'll look fine in about a couple of days or a week. And so this one right here is the same way. And I had trellised them all up. I only trellis in the ones that are kind of gotten long. And you don't have to trellis all of your squash if you just want to trellis every other one and then kind of compare and see how they do. Because what'll happen is they'll establish roots, as you can see, along the base of where they touch the ground, and they'll get firm into the ground. And that's just the squash plant way of continuing to try to survive. And they'll do well as long as you keep them pruned, keep all of the leaves, let it get air, and they'll do fine. So if you got some that's kind of anchored into the ground real well and you don't want to bother them, then that's fine. You can just leave those. But we're gonna see how these do. I did want to add that I really shouldn't have used this garden tie, but if you do use a garden tie, you don't want to get it too tight against the squash plant and sort of cut into the plant. I'm probably going to replace this with something a little softer, like some burlap string or some of the softer materials that they make to trellis your plants to. All right, I want to give a quick update again on the squash after trellising them. As you can see, it's only 3 days later and they've already repositioned themselves, growing back up toward the sun. And as you can see, the fruit is growing up off the ground. And what this does, this getting your plant up off the ground, what it does is it gives the opportunity for the plant to breathe a little better and cut down on the different funguses that you can catch. It also makes it easier for you to harvest your fruit. You know, it's going to give you better fruit quality, and it makes it easier for you to treat your fruit and your plant with pesticides. So it's just a pretty good technique. I hope you try it. One thing I want to add is that if you don't want your fruit to get any bigger than this, you do need to harvest your fruit a little bit quicker than normally you would, because you don't want too much weight on the plant, because it'll cause the plant to sag, and you could cause damage to the plant, damage to the stem. So you do need to harvest your plant a little bit quicker. And as your squash plant grows, you will need to pull it back towards your stake there to keep it, continue to support it as it grows. Or you may have to put 2 or 3 stakes out to re-catch it, you know, and keep it supported and growing up. So it does take a little work, but you can get a lot more production out of your squash. You can keep the plant a lot healthier, a lot longer. And I hope you try it. These are the other ones that I trellis. It's doing well as well, repositioned itself perfectly. Here's another one that I trellised up, and I'll probably have to, you know, re-tie it up pretty soon here. And this is the other one that I trellised. It's doing well. It's got plenty of blooms. And I did want to also add that it, you know, allows for a better pollination as well. So if you have it, you know, it just ensures a real good pollination if you got them sitting up, the blooms sitting up off the ground. And this is the last one here. It's doing pretty well, good as well. And it's gonna have some fruit to harvest here in a little bit. So like this video, I'd appreciate it. And if you want to subscribe, I would surely appreciate that. But let me know in the comments below if it's something you think you'll try. And if you do try it and then you have some success with it, then let me know that as well.